I was in the parking lot right there. Like I'm looking at it out from my window. I was in that parking lot trying to kind of catch the UFOs on camera. And I was saying, I know you're up there. I know you're up there. And then I was sitting there recording with my camera. And then after a little while, a ship lowered itself because it was super cloudy. It lowered itself through the fog. And I saw three lights in the shape of a triangle right above my car. And they seemed to be saying, you're right, we are here.
Welcome back to another episode of Awakened Minds podcast. I am your host, Natalie, and today's guest is Lily Nova. Now, Lily has had everyday encounters with extraterrestrial and UFO contact, and this all started with astrophotography, taking pictures of the night sky. Now, today we're going to unpack psychic and intuitive abilities, CE5 contact, and understanding your own star family and how we can get you activated with Lily's intuitive gifts. If you are interested in this type of thing, the links will be in the description box below. But guys, please have an open mind and an open heart. And I am excited to welcome to the show, Lily Nova.
So whenever I moved into this house, whenever I saw it on Zillow, listed on Zillow, and on the Zillow listing picture, there was a plasma UFO above the roof, and which is pretty crazy because like I didn't take that picture. So how long have they kind of like planned that type deal? Things kind of, just work really synchronistically and strange. And I just knew that this was my place.
Right.
And yeah, and whenever I moved in, or whenever I came to look at it, there was like 4 other people here looking at it, so I wasn't sure if I was going to get it. I was the one who got it, which is fantastic. And there was nothing in this house. And whenever I was looking in the rooms to figure out which one I want to make the activation room, which is where I do all my meditations and all of that, / office and studio. And I looked in the closet in this room, and there was a Buddha statue in the closet. Nothing else in the house besides this Buddha statue. So it was just perfect.
That's
So
incredible.
you knew which room was going to be the activation room right then?
Yeah, exactly. I knew this room was very, very protected. And the night before I moved in, or a couple nights before I moved in, I was laying down for bed, and I suddenly received a telepathic message, and I heard in my head, there's a portal in your new house.
No way. That's awesome.
Have you found it?
Yeah, it's in this room.
Have you found it? It's in the room. Okay. I love that. Can you explain what the portal looks like? Can you like see it with your third eye?
Yeah, so whenever I sense it's kind of strange. So there's like a big field right next to me, which is cool. So I'm not like looking directly at another house. And whenever I tune into the portal, I see like kind of like like a wave, like almost like a tornado. Like it starts out there and then kind of comes in through the window and comes in here too, which is kind of strange. I don't know exactly what's going on. Maybe an energy vortex type deal also. Type thing. But what's really crazy is this location. I had one of my most profound, like life-changing experiences very, very early on, where I was in the parking lot right there. Like I'm looking at it out from my window. I was in that parking lot trying to kind of catch the UFOs on camera. And I was saying, I know you're up there. I know you're up there. And then I was sitting there recording with my camera. And then after a little while, a ship lowered itself because it was super cloudy. It lowered itself through the fog. And I saw 3 lights in the shape of a triangle right above my car. And they seemed to be saying, you're right, we are here.
Oh.
And that happened right there, right out there. So I think there's definitely something weird going on with this location.
I think you need to start a CE5 like from your house, from that room, so that people can experience the energy of it, right?
Yeah, well, I do that.
Could I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you do that?
Yeah, I do that already on I do live activations on YouTube. I was doing them every Sunday. Now I'm doing every other Sunday. And that's essentially what I do. It's like a portal that channels through and then other people can
Oh,
experience it. Yeah. And feel the energy from
Oh,
it.
wow.
no
Yeah.
way. So you could activate us right now from that very room with that portal, right? So that's what you do.
Right. Yes.
That's
exactly.
incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
My
Let's see.
question's
Maybe I
about
can
the
try it
portal.
real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's just try it real quick. Usually I do the singing bowls,
Well,
but
could I ask you one question real quick before you go in about the
Yeah.
So
portal
many
though?
questions.
When the portal's coming in, does energy as it's coming in have to come out at the same time? You have to give back some kind of energy at the same
That's a good
time for the balance of, what have you? Balance
That's a good
and,
question. Well, I
universe.
do, yeah, we do, we're putting our intention and our energy towards it too, whenever we're doing the meditations and activations. So it's kind of like we are synergistic with each other, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I mean is, as the portal is
Mhm.
you're bringing energy in towards you, is energy have to go back out? Is
Mm.
that a must?
Do you mean like kind of like a transmuting? So like when
Yeah, like
say,
if you're bringing in positive energy, do you have to exhaust some negative energy so that,
Mm.
I
you
think
know,
it's more so like you're talking about kind of like an energy healing. I think she's doing an
I'm talking I'm
activation.
talking about a balance of energy.
Okay, I
If there
think I
has
get
to
what
be
you're
a
saying.
balance.
I
Yeah.
don't think there's anything. I think this is more of kind of like um, an entrance coming in, and then that light coming in and those higher frequencies coming in are already transmuting in here as they come in, because it can't occupy the same space, if that makes sense. And does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like you have to be on a level of a certain frequency in order for them to even interact. It
Yeah,
kind of
well, we keep this place pretty yeah, high vibe. I've got kind of protection up around the place. I've got crystals everywhere. And I feel like with the Buddha statue that was in here, the ETs and my guides have this space very much on lock. Like, I don't think
wow.
any negative energy comes in here whatsoever. It's this
Right.
room this room's special. There's no interference in it.
All right. Let's see what you got. Let's see what should we be worried, like scared, like what's gonna happen?
Sure.
What are we
No,
gonna expect?
you know what?
I'm not worried.
I love this.
I'll just do something really, really fast. So just go ahead and close your eyes, and everybody who's watching this right now can close their eyes also. And I've got my crystal alchemy singing bowl here, so we'll just do something really quick. So go ahead and take a deep breath in. Breathing in light, and we create sacred space around each and every one of us. I call in my guides and star family of the highest love and light to assist with a just very quick activation. Calling in the galactics, everyone's star families. And now, through this portal, we will begin sending energy, light codes, and frequencies to the third eye of the viewers and listeners. So focus on the center of your forehead for a second, and you may even, your crown's opening up right now, your crown chakra on top of your head. You may feel some tingling. So if you want, you can visualize your crown chakra opening, or just know that it's opening, feel it opening. And then the third eye, going down to the third eye, sending light, frequencies, healing activations to your third eye in the center of your forehead. And it begins to expand as it fills with light, upgrading and pulsing. You may even feel or sense a pulsing. And now we will just go ahead and ground and balance balancing everybody's energetic fields. And if we have any spiritual helpers and guides who would like to adjust your energetic field right now to assist in harmonizing and balancing you, we ask that they do so. Taking a deep breath in and now grounding this energy, and then let me know how you feel.
Wow.
Yeah, that was just a quick sample.
That was
Yeah,
awesome.
my head lit up.
Did you feel it? I started feeling
Up
sensations
there.
on my crown. I was like, oh, they're
Yeah.
working on our crowns.
I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
really hot and like a pulse
Top of my
around
head went
here.
off.
Yeah.
And as
Yep,
soon as you said that the pulsing started too.
Yeah, you
That's
got
same.
that too?
Yeah.
I tried
Yeah.
to
That's funny. It was like almost like a
visualize.
heartbeat in the center of your head.
Yeah. I tried to visualize the portal coming from both ends, just like, oh. And I actually seen it, but it felt like another screen, so to speak. And I kind of understand what Peter would say about when he would have two visions. And also another psychic I spoke to said that she also saw screens. So I kind of seen it, but they look like vortexes just on either side. And that's all I saw in a black space. So that was really interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, but my whole body
Yeah, that's cool.
is like hot and I feel like a movement of sorts, like flowy. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, flowy. And also, as I've developed my gifts and abilities, I learned that I have an additional third eye in my throat chakra. A Reiki healer was actually the first one to point that out. She's like, you have an eye, like an additional eye in your throat chakra. And then I started seeing it all of the time, and I started getting downloads and messages about it, that through like my meditations and activations, I'm also channeling through this portal through my throat chakra. So my voice is also channeling those frequencies.
That's incredible. That's amazing. I've never
Yeah.
heard anything like that before.
Yeah, I never heard that either.
Wild. Yeah, wild.
Wow. So
It comes from my Lyran heritage, apparently, my Lyran heritage.
We were just
talking about that.
Nice.
Amazing. Yeah, we were talking about our own experiences and we were like, oh, what are we going to talk about with Lily? There's so many ways and so many things we can talk about in terms of ET contact, dream state, astral projection, all of that. But we were talking about the Lyrans, where we both believe we may have connection to the Lyrans, but it was funny because I'm like, well, I'm allergic to cats. And Jimmy's like, I don't fucking like cats. And I'm like, that's the thing though, because the ones who don't want us in aware of our connection to our star family would want to kind of mutate the DNA in a sense energetically, right? So that we don't find that connection, and it kind of made sense to us. So maybe you might know something about that. What yeah, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. And I have heard that before, and that would definitely make sense because cats are very, very healing and very spiritual beings. A lot of the time, our cats, or sometimes they can actually be star beings that are here to assist us as guides. Like I just got my cat Kylo. He's a Siamese. Found him as a stray. I wasn't expecting to. I always wanted a Siamese. I've got a Siamese lighter. I've got a Siamese thing in my car hanging down. I've got Siamese stuff everywhere. I've always wanted one, and then randomly on the side of the road find this kitten that's malnourished, and he had a brother, a Siamese brother that my mom adopted the brother. And then we left, and then I went back a few days later because I was like, I need this. I need him. He's mine. It was so divine. And afterwards, I discovered that he is, well, he's Lyran, Syrian, and Arcturian. And he sees the star beings too. One day I woke up and I saw with my eyes open a third eye on his eye, and I heard in my head, he sees the ETs. He sees them. And he's doing a lot of work with me in the astral and stuff. And they're very just grounding, and they help you to open up your heart because of the love that you share with them. That whenever they purr, that helps you to heal with the vibration. So yeah, they're amazing. So I could see how in order to manipulate or prevent that, negative forces may, do that.
Those that be negative.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a coincidence that you found this cat. Like, I just feel like you're an incredible manifester, which you probably have more stories to share. Yeah, there's no coincidences.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's amazing. Oh, he's
we
right
were
here.
Oh, he's here.
Yeah, he's right
Oh,
here.
there you go.
He hangs out. He always hangs out on the other side of the door during the activations.
Oh,
Here he is,
wow.
You know we were talking about him.
Mr. Man.
What's his
Absolutely
name?
cute.
Kylo, like Kylo Ren from
Kylo.
Star
Oh,
Wars.
from Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about how you had your awakening and how you take pictures of the sky and like a astrophotographer and all that, and how that opened you up. And it was
Yeah.
kind of similar. The same thing I did was kind of just talking to the sky
Yeah.
was how it all started. So it was kind of
Yeah.
what we were talking about before you got here. How did that happen?
Yeah. So during lockdowns in 2020, so I'm a nutritionist. I have a dietetics degree. That's what I was doing. But during the lockdowns, I discovered that you could take beautiful pictures of the Milky Way, and I had, this nice DSLR camera. So I started going out to rural areas and photographing the Milky Way, and got really into astrophotography. I became obsessed with it, fell in love with it. So I started spending literally every single night out under the stars. And I was just mesmerized by it. It literally took over my life. And I learned how to, photograph all of these amazing things, even the Andromeda galaxy, the moon, all of that. And a few months into that is whenever I had my first UFO experience, a very, very, very close encounter. And then after that, like the floodgates were open and I just started seeing them left and right. So I started documenting them with my camera. I started recording them.
So that's all it took was, excuse me, was going out there and photographing them. There was no any other change in your life, like a personal, nothing happened. Just
Like a
just doing
breakup
that.
or a traumatic event or anything like
Yeah,
that.
like any
Yeah.
kind of
Oh yeah,
moment of
tons. I was going through a dark night of the soul whenever it happened, and that's why like
okay.
I went out to the stars, because it was the only place I felt kind of like comfort.
Oh.
It was healing. But I had gone through a very traumatic breakup. The person wrecked my car. They screwed me over. They were not who I thought they were.
Look at her now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm even like, I
Keep on
was
keeping on.
reflecting. Yeah, I was reflecting so hard. I was like, how could I even be involved with somebody like this who could do this? And it was divinely. I also realized I had issues with codependency, so that was something I had to work through.
Self-mastery, right? That
Yeah,
comes through
exactly.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then my boss suddenly at my dream job, I was teaching nutrition and cooking classes and I loved it. He became suddenly very toxic and narcissistic and was like singling me out. Like I was getting PTSD even just going into work or thinking about it, because he was also doing it in such a narcissistic way that I tried getting help, and he's a good actor, to where it just made me look crazy, like I was making things up. And it was
Right.
yeah, so I put up with literally 1 week of that, and then I quit. I didn't come in. So
Yeah.
I was, yeah, so I was really upset about that. And that's whenever, so I lost my job, lost my car, lost my, love interest. Um, and, um, and yeah, and that love interest, he was just a bad person. So there was a bunch of other stuff that went on
Wow.
with that.
We
But
have
yeah.
so many similarities.
Yeah.
Aside from my car
Amen.
accident, I had every other thing. I must be
Literally.
like a prerequisite to having a dark night of the soul. You gotta lose your career and
Yeah.
everything
Up,
you
up, up,
worked
up,
on.
up. Nah, I know what it is.
I
If
know
you
I
want,
did.
if you want to understand how to be a light being, you first have to understand the negative side, because the light illuminates the dark. If you don't
Yep.
know your shit about the dark side, then how can you illuminate it? How can you understand it? So
Oh, yeah.
I really feel like there's a huge correlation between trauma and waking up. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's wild. We've all had traumatic experiences, and there are some few who don't necessarily have traumatic experiences. Um, they're they're kind of the lucky ones, but that's quite rare because
Boring.
yeah. But it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to live this life we came here to experience as well. So that's just part of the journey. But anyways,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely propelled me to it made me pause and reflect and try something new. So and essentially like my whole identity, who I thought I was and who I was so passionate about, started like fading very, very quickly to where I was like things that I wanted to do before didn't resonate with me anymore. And um it so it was really difficult. I was basically having like an ego death too. And
oh yeah.
yeah, so I'm like, I don't even know who I am
Mm.
anymore. And it was just it was pretty tough. And then the UFOs started showing up, and I just felt so called to investigating. I was so curious. I wanted to know, where do they come from? Why are they showing up? How does this work? Uh, you know, they're in other dimensions. Just like learning about all of that,
Mhm.
and that's the
So
biggest discovery.
did you just like sit on a mountaintop while taking photos and then suddenly, boom, I'm communicating with aliens now? Like, what was it like when you got your first telepathic message? Because what's that like? What does it feel like?
Mm. Yeah, I couldn't sleep that night whenever it happened. I was so excited.
Yeah.
So giddy. And also at the time, I didn't have the Starseed or UFO community. I was figuring all of this out on my own. I didn't like have, all the online stuff that I do now. I didn't know what a Starseed was at the time. I didn't know for like 6 months in until I found out that some of these beings were literally my star family and I was a Starseed. But it so I was really just kind of like investigating, driving around investigating, capturing them on camera. And then the first telepathic message that came in like a few months later after doing this and seeing them and stuff. Well, they had communicated with me, but it was more of like an impression.
Mm.
Um, and they would show me kind of signs to answer my questions, like flashes or blinking stars, or in one time they threw a postcard with the famous painting where it's like that, the two fingers touching.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
Yeah.
like God and Jesus
Uh,
or God and
you mean
man.
like the Sistine Chapel? With-
Yeah. Yeah. I was sitting
yeah.
there thinking, okay, why are all these UFOs showing up? What do they want from me? And then this postcard came off my wall and was thrown at my feet. So they
Wow.
physically
That
moved,
happened to me too.
Oh,
really.
I
stop.
swear to God. Yeah, all right, keep going. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no, wait. What happened to you? Hold on real quick. What happened to you? It was the same thing? What, like a letter fell?
The postcard. Yeah, postcard
Would
came out of nowhere. Like, God, I'm
oh,
Wow.
sorry. Tell your story. I'm sorry.
No, you're
this is
fine.
I
It's
just can't
cool.
believe you
amazing.
said that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then that's when I realized and I like kind of heard in my head contact. That's what they want. They want to make contact.
Oh,
Yeah, so that just gives me chills even like just thinking about it. But so then they were guiding me like doing things like that, and then I got my first like really big telepathic message. 2, 3 months in, I went out with a friend, somebody I just met, but they were like they knew a lot about spirituality and they had seen UFOs before. So we linked up and I was like, "Do you want to go try to make contact?" And he was like,
fuck
"Yeah."
yeah, I do.
Yeah. So I took him to this astronomy park and we set our intention out. And then, boom, within 5 minutes, a golden orb appears and it's moving around and stuff. And I'm trying to communicate with it. And he tells me, try closing your eyes. Let's try closing our eyes to see if we can receive any message that way through our third eye. And I didn't
Mm.
know really kind of like what that meant at the time. I mean, I kind of knew what it meant, but it was just kind of like, oh, I didn't think of that and I didn't know much about that. So I tried it and I started receiving telepathic visions that they were sending me. And I could see they showed me light. The first image they showed me was light entering into this head, tons of light in these shapes. And I realized later that they were showing me downloads. I was being downloaded with
Yeah.
light codes and information. And then they showed me a vision, sent me a telepathic vision of the inhabitants of this craft who was controlling it. So I got to see the beings for the first time, and they had light blue skin, no hair, but they looked human and had skin tight silver uniforms on, similar to Star Trek.
I was just telling Jimmy I seen that exact thing. So I just got all of Peter Slattery's books. I don't know if you've
Oh,
heard of
I
him.
love him.
Right? Oh, he's amazing. So I'll show you. So I told Jimmy I saw a woman aboard a spacecraft in an astral projection, and then one of his books has the exact women that I saw.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
But
she's
and she also
beautiful.
looks cat-like, right? The only difference is she was blue, and you're describing the same woman that I seen in my astral projection, right?
Wow.
So I was like, I got these today. I'm talking to you. Major synchronicities happening. So,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Anyways, I just thought I had to share that with you.
that's amazing. That's beautiful. So my the star beings that I saw, I found out that they were Lyran. They said that they were Lyran from Lyra. But then I found out later that they migrated to the Andromeda constellation.
Mm.
So they're like not Andromeda Galaxy, Andromeda constellation. So yeah, I'll call them Andromedan sometimes. Sometimes I call them Lyran or Lyran Andromedan. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's a group called the Andromedan Council. I found out that they are a part of, if you've heard of them before.
Yep.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
heard of quite a few, but okay, so you had that telepathic communication, but you say it's visual. Is it almost like, if you were to look at an image, it kind of gives 1,000 words? Did you have to unpack anything, or was it just a knowing that occurred? Because the information that it's not like, this is something that would take someone years and years to unpack
Yeah.
and understand. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. So some of it I was kind of downloaded with an understanding in the beginning, but there were a lot of missing pieces. I didn't really know what it all meant.
Mm.
So like I didn't know that I was being shown a download yet. I had to
Yeah.
learn that. Um the beings, whenever I saw them, it didn't really come with any words, but I had a feeling that maybe she was me from a past lifetime or something. I just felt a very strong connection with the woman. There was a woman and then some crewmates behind her. So I just felt a strong connection, but I didn't know what it was. And the woman was laying down on a table with her eyes closed. So that kind of confused me. And then there were like five crewmates standing behind her. But I was like, okay, she's not dead. She doesn't feel dead. But what is she doing? Is she like, I had a feeling that she was using her mind to control the craft, or using her mind to like connect with me. And that's what she was doing. So that was kind of like an intuitive thing, but I didn't know for sure. Um, and I had to practice a lot. Communication didn't come super easy for me.
Right.
Um, I was guessing a lot of the time, trial and error. Uh, I ended up getting a pendulum, and it sat around for a while. And then finally I used it to communicate with them. And that really helped. It started working right away. And I had kind of like answers written down, and, they would move it like that. So the pendulum helped me to really communicate in the beginning, and also exercise my intuition muscle, because then I started feeling it. Once I started paying attention to how my body felt whenever I got a yes answer or no answer, it was like strengthening it. So that made that stronger, and that took, months, months and months and months of practice. And then whenever I began meditating, that's whenever things really ramped up, and I had to do it consistently. I did it
Mm.
daily for a long time to
How
be able
many
to
hours
communicate.
would you say you did
Well,
the?
I started off small, because it was hard for me at first. I started
You
off
went
doing
right to
like
hours.
Mm.
what's that? No,
Natalie went right to how many hours? Like not
right. I
minutes.
know, right? Yeah. Well, I started off small at first, because it was very hard at first. I would meditate in the shower. I would do a 10-15 minute guided meditation, and I made myself do it every single day. And in the
Mm.
shower, it just helped because it's more of like,
Yeah.
you just kind of you're more connected in the shower, and it's easier to
You're
relax.
Right.
grounded in the shower too, right?
Yeah, and the
From the
water
water.
amplifies your
Yeah.
Right.
intention.
I get a lot of messages in the shower.
Yeah,
Because when you're in the shower, what you're doing
Natalie's brilliant
essentially.
in there.
Yeah, I'm one of those weird ones. I bring my phone in the shower because
Mhm.
honestly, I get my downloads and I'm like, Jimmy, this just happened,
Yeah.
and then I saw this, and we got to talk about this, and blah. So every time I'm in the shower,
She starts channeling in there.
yeah, I get my downloads, and I really do feel like something about water has ability to amplify, and our cells open up and just receive these downloads, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And I didn't know that at the time. But then I learned that I was
Yeah.
just doing it because I was taking a shower every day and I wanted to create the habit. So I forced myself to do a meditation in the shower and it was, easier because it's more soothing. It
Oh,
helps
that's
calm me down.
good because it's almost like, where can I give myself definite time? Well, I
Mhm.
shower at this time every day. I might as well utilize my time, right?
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
perfect.
That's a
Yeah, really
perfect
cool.
idea. Do you put
Yeah.
crystals in your shower head by any chance?
Not in
I
the
know
shower
people
head.
that.
I do
God, I'm
have a
sorry.
filter though, but I put crystals. Not I don't always put crystals. I do have a couple that stay in there. Whenever I take a bath, I bring a lot of crystals, but I've got a filter on the for the water.
You
No,
reading
I
her,
got
Jimmy.
friends. No, I got friends that do. They have like a little thing they installed in the shower, and they put
Yeah,
crystals in it, so the water goes through the crystals, like amethyst and stuff.
That's
yeah, I would
cool.
love that if it
Yeah.
filters
Mhm.
the water good too, because the water you need to filter your shower water.
Yeah, that's a whole
Oh,
nother thing we can get into as well. But yeah, keep going, keep going.
So meditation. So I did that for about 1 to 2 weeks, and then I can't remember if it was after the at the end of week 1 or week 2 where I received like my first vision during meditation, and I saw a lion. It was a lion, um,
mm.
Wow.
which I didn't know what that meant at the time. But then I began to discover, my Lyran heritage and also animal spirit guides. I saw, a tiger, and my favorite animal growing up was a tiger, and I discovered that that's one of my spirit animals that's been with me all my life. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I would see these visions. I started seeing these visions. Then it became fun, and I'm like, "Holy crap, I want to see more of this." So I started meditating, longer. And I wouldn't always know what I was seeing or what it meant, but
Mm.
I kept practicing. And then I started meditating for like hours. And there was a while, I don't know how long it was, maybe a few months, where literally that's all I did was meditate all day. I would barely get up to eat. I turned into like a straight
Oh,
monk. I was
really?
getting, yeah.
So
Wow.
where I'm at right now, so Peter Slattery, I think it was 8 to 12 hours a day alongside remote viewing.
Wow.
And there was Geraldine Orozco, I think she was like 6 to 8 hours of meditation.
Hmm.
Even Patricia Farrell, she would meditate for hours and she became addicted to it. Right. So
Hmm.
that whoever's watching this right now and you really do want to strengthen your connection, connect to your spirit team, connect to your inner gifts, the God within. I really highly recommend meditation, and it's not
Hmm.
half-assing it. Like some people will say just 5 minutes a day. I'm like, no, 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 no. Listen,
Hmm.
you got to
Oh,
take it seriously, and it's disciplinary, but it becomes fun, right?
Hmm.
So right now I'm going to be practicing all those days of meditation. I haven't done hours like you have. I've probably done about 3 is my maximum. But yeah,
That's
I'm
pretty good though.
excited.
yeah, but
Yeah,
there's
right.
other forms of meditation. Like I do painting and I go work in the garden and all that other stuff. That counts as meditation, no?
Wait. So what do you think about that? Because a lot of people do say that to me too. I tell my close friends you have to meditate, and they're like, "Yeah, but my meditation is drawing or mine is art." Um, yes, that is a form of meditation, but why do I feel strongly that it's important to shut off the mind? Do you know what I mean? What's your thoughts on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, definitely. So whenever I was having a majority of these contact experiences, especially in the beginning or for the first like 6 months, I was not meditating, but I was getting in a meditative receptive state because I was spending time in nature. So
Yeah,
that did allow me to connect and it did elevate my frequency. I would be out, filming the sunset or stargazing, and that was like my meditation. So for the first 6 months of crazy contact, I didn't do any meditating.
nice.
But I will say, so you can do that. Some people that may work better, but I will say, like with me and you, we're developing our psychic gifts, and that's
Mhm.
exciting to us. Like
Yeah.
that's our goal. So so for people who want to like develop their psychic abilities and explore, the unknown, the mysteries of the universe, meditation for sure.
Right, I agree. So yeah, there you go. So there's different types of meditation. Again, it's really cool that you connected without it. I feel like you had just a divine gift. Have you gone back into your like past lives to discover why this might have happened to you in the way that it did?
Yeah, and I'm still uncovering some of it. Some of the things they're like we can't even tell you what some of it is
Yeah.
because I'm kind of like undercover too. They're like,
Yeah, it could put you in danger,
yeah.
right?
So exactly. So some of it, I'm blocked from seeing, but so I have a connection with, Lyra, the Lyran Wars, and then the Orion Wars also. I've seen a past lifetime where I was a Pleiadian woman fighting in the Orion Wars. Um, so I was involved with that. And a lot of it comes to also Vega, the star Vega and Lyra with the blue beings, not the feline beings. But I do have connections with them too. And this like goes back a very, very long time. Like our histories are very maybe some people might have just kind of randomly decided, hey, I want to pop in on Earth, even though I don't really have like a connection with it. But I think a lot of us, just this whole journey, it's very, very connected. Like even our DNA is said to be royalty, and it comes from, these various, at least 22 ET races, and goes back a very, very long time. So I know I have a connection with that. I have some royal connections, um, and then Atlantis. That's another big one.
Oh,
Mhm.
you may have had well, I don't know. Have you been a part of the secret space program? And the only reason I ask is because you mentioned royal bloodlines and Penny. There's a few people who talked about the bloodlines, Geraldine, Orozco, Penny, and they talked about bloodlines stemming back from Jesus' bloodline.
Hmm.
And is that's you as well?
Yeah. So in the beginning, as I was, meditating, and then I started seeing other spiritual beings, not just ETs. And I actually, Jesus came to visit me, and I saw Jesus. Yeah. And I
Yep.
didn't know
He
even if
came
he
to me
would,
too.
did he? That's amazing.
Yeah,
I
twice.
love him. Jesus is the
Oh, he's
homie.
funny. Let me tell you what was I woke up both mornings with my stomach hurting like I'd done a couple thousand sit-ups. Like it was funny. Like I was shocked. Like, was he funny to you?
He was more not necessarily funny, but at least in this instance, but I do know that, they are funny too. They have a sense of humor in the spiritual realm and in these other realms. My star family is super funny too, my guides and stuff. But this
Hmm.
specific experience was um just a big teaching moment because I didn't even know if Jesus existed. So he was showing me, like I'm real. And then he taught me, because I had a really bad issue against like religion, organized religion, the word God. I just got comfortable with the word God in the last couple of years, the last few years. Um, and he was telling me that the return of Christ isn't Jesus coming back and appearing like physically. It's the return of Christ consciousness within us. So it was kind of like a student teacher moment. And then he was also saying the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's more of a state of mind, a state of being. And then he
Yeah.
said, and we are related.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I was like,
Told me I
what?
was his brother.
Really?
Yeah. I was
Wow.
like, what? I imagine a lot of people were his brother, but what do you tell you?
He just said, we are related. And then I think it was really hard for me to believe and accept. I was like, I don't know if I just heard him right. Like, I can't be related.
Yeah.
That's that's crazy. So it took me a while to realize, and then
Yeah.
I started learning more about the like the bloodlines and like the Magdalene bloodline, and it's come up in some readings that I've done for other
So,
people.
so you say that you're Lyran, you have connection to Vega, star beings, extraterrestrials. You're
Mhm.
related to Jesus. Are you saying that
Mhm.
Jesus is extraterrestrial in nature?
I do believe
Why not?
Yeah, I do believe so. I'm also Sirian and Pleiadian and Lyran and Andromedan and Andromeda Galaxy, and I've got some Orion and Arcturian too, plus probably a million other things. But apparently
We're
Jesus,
infinite.
yeah, Jesus had lifetimes on Sirius before, and I think a lot of them, like the goddess Isis,
Right.
uh, Jesus,
Yeah.
and probably many others, you know, they came in with a higher level of consciousness, and I'm sure to be able to hold that frequency in that body, their
Yeah.
bodies had to be upgraded to
Mm.
be able to carry that too with
Yeah.
ET genetics.
They said that
Right.
in that book Seth Speaks, if you've ever read that.
Mm-mm,
The
I've
same
heard of
thing,
it.
it was channeled messages came out from Jane Roberts, but it was the same thing. That's how he had those abilities he had, was he was Syrian.
Yeah.
They're
Yep.
highly psychic and,
Oh, there you go.
you
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
or highly
And
conscious. Let's put it that way.
yeah. Yeah. So I think there's a pretty good amount of people who have uh connections with the bloodline of Yeshua, Jesus, and the Magdalens. Probably not everybody, but I think there is a decent amount of people. I'm not the only one who has that connection. Um, I know I also have a connection to pharaohs, specifically Akhenaten and Nefertiti. I found that out. Back on the fall equinox is whenever Nefertiti first came to me. And what's weird is growing up, I always felt just very, very drawn to the pharaoh
Mm.
Akhenaten because he was known to have like kind of a different body, and
Was that the
there's like
elongated skull?
elongated skull. The kids were depicted with elongated skulls, and he was the only pharaoh who basically took away all of the Egyptian gods and goddesses and said there is only one God, and it's like portrayed as the sun, and basically said there's only one, and they didn't really like him for that. So after he was done being pharaoh, they switched it back to all the gods and goddesses. But I always felt really drawn to him, and then I realized why, because I have a blood connection with him.
That's
Oh,
incredible.
wow. So let me ask you, when you do this, like channeling and stuff, like telepathic,
Mhm.
I go into something where it kind of feels like a mushroom high. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried them before, but
Yeah.
you kind of get like a little bit of a high feeling. Not that you get high, it just comes and goes, but it's an indicator that it's
Mhm.
going on. And then the messages get amplified. Like they could come over the radio, the television, whatever, and
Mhm.
I'll hear mumbling, and then one sentence will just come out like pronounced. Like, do you
Mhm.
get that high feeling or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
Do you?
It's
Oh, cool. I thought
and
that was
with the
just me.
vision, yeah, no, in the visions that I get too, it sometimes it looks like a psychedelic trip. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't even have to trip, but I do microdosing with mushrooms helped extreme immensely. And God actually told me to do mushrooms. Whenever I went to like my first group meditation. I was super new to meditation, and I had this crazy experience that was super intense. I was not in my body. I'd never experienced anything like that before. And at the end, I see a dancing mushroom. And and I'm like, I think God's telling me to do mushrooms. And I was like, oh, I don't think God would tell me to do mushrooms. And then I had a dream where I was driving down the road, and then I look out the window and there's like huge mushrooms. And then a couple other things happened, and I was like, oh yeah, they're telling me to do mushrooms. So I started microdosing, and that helped a lot with depression, mental
Right,
health,
Right.
right.
um, and also just opening up, your connection to everything.
There,
Yeah.
there is a point where you do stop. You don't need them anymore. I got to a point where they started making me feel really shitty when I took them. And then
Mm,
I got the message with basically, you don't need them anymore. Your mind's already opened up to that. Like
mhm.
whatever the drugs do, you're already doing it naturally now, was
Yeah,
kind of
that's
the
great.
message that came through.
Yeah,
Is
and I
that the
think that's the
same?
difference between sorry to cut you off. I just think that that's what the difference between taking the whole mushroom for a trip or microdosing over a prolonged period of time, which over time is reprogramming pre-grow
Yeah,
shit, can't even talk. Reprogramming your mind and the way that you
yeah,
Took
think,
too many
feel,
mushrooms.
right? So there's something about progression and taking your time with it.
Mhm.
So that's really interesting because I've been thinking about trying it. The only thing with
Mhm.
me is I don't like taking things. I get paranoid, I get scared. I
Nah,
don't do drugs or
you're,
anything like that.
yeah, you're good at this point. But if you got to this far
I
where you're at,
want to though.
yeah,
I
okay.
think you should try microdosing, just a
Yeah,
tiny bit to where you can take a tiny, tiny bit to where you barely even feel it. You might just feel like a little bit lighter
yeah.
and maybe happier. So you're not
Right.
going to see like an elephant walk into the room or anything like that. It's going to be very mild.
Oh, I don't know. Knowing me, you never know. Nah, yeah, I do agree. I think microdosing is a good idea. But so, where are you taking all of this new knowledge that you have? What are your plans for the foreseeable future?
Yeah. So, my star family and the ETs told me, start a YouTube channel, and then they told me I wasn't like doing guided meditations. I didn't have any singing bowls. I'm not a musician or anything like that, but I felt really called to getting a singing bowl, and I came across this lady who loaned me one and then loaned me these other three.
There
I didn't
you
even ask.
go.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it just kind of like fell into my lap. It was perfect. These are very expensive though, just by the way.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
they
I'm
are.
are.
being
I'm looking at them going, damn, that must have been like what, like
That's
6 grand or something like that.
what I'm saying. Wow, you got a hell of a lot nice neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm paying them off now, but yeah, I was also broke at the time because I took a year off after I that traumatic stuff happened at my job and I quit my job.
Mm.
I couldn't like I just something was stopping me from getting another job, and it was because I was supposed to
Right.
get on this spiritual journey with the ETs and the galactics and everything. So I did that for a year, meditated, every day, all of that. But yeah, so they told me start a YouTube channel and number one priority, start doing guided activations, live guided activations. So I've been doing those for 2 years now. Um, and I just wrote my first book. So that's been the big project that I just finished. And it goes
Ah,
over, yeah, my experiences. There's pictures, artistic depictions of what these beings look like, the messages that they have shared with me, the training that they put me through. There's
Wow.
Talia.
She's fucking
oh wow.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
So
so
you
that's
seen
that
her
book.
and drew her that like that?
No, this is a AI generated art, so I told it what to do, and
Oh,
then it,
right.
Right.
yeah,
Wow.
so
Wow, that's pretty brilliant.
yeah,
Well,
so that's the golden orb that she appeared in whenever I got my first telepathic message and the visions, and that's her. That's what she looked like.
Wow.
oh wow.
Yeah,
What was her
so
name
that's
again? I'm sorry.
her name's Talia.
Talia.
Yep, Talia. Yeah.
Really
Uh-huh.
cool.
Yeah. So
And
that's
what
been the
and
big
what
thing.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
good. No, I'm sorry, good. I didn't mean that.
I was just gonna say, because you asked what's next. Yeah, the book and um, yeah, that's it. I do sessions and things like that, and then also you mentioned the SSP. I have found out over the past couple of years that I do have involvement in that too. So kind of accessing some memories and is
Wow.
kind of what I want to focus on next too.
That's incredible. It seems we're all very much on the same journey. Like for me, it started off interviewing near-death experiences because I wanted to understand, more about life. Where do we go when we die? What happens to us when our soul leaves our body, and so to speak. And then,
Mhm.
yeah, I met Jimmy. He told me about his near-death experience. We joined together, and then we started interviewing people who had extraterrestrial phenomenon happening in their life, and that
Right.
opened new doors. And now I'm just like obsessed. Like, I want to do the meditations. I want to connect to my spirit team. I want to have
Mhm.
these wild experiences. But I also just want to teach people, like, if I'm learning all of this stuff, then you can too. And not only
Mhm.
that, it's going to awaken your mind. You're going to perceive life in a whole new way. And I don't know about you, but life just seems so much better when you're getting into the unknown, because it seems that the unknown is more natural than life
Mhm.
before, like the so-called matrix, working 9 to 5,
Mhm.
stressing about your day, week ahead. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's limitless.
fuck that. right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a journey. I wouldn't change it for the world. And I'm just so glad to be here right now. And I'm glad to talk to people like you, Lily, who can share your experiences and open people up as well. So yeah, it's been wild.
Heck yeah. And by the way, I'm seeing an Arcturian behind you. You've got an Arcturian guide or possibly family. Um,
Ooh.
so some Arcturian there, and then also Lyran and Pleiadian, of course, too. You've got, but yeah, you've
You
got
see
some.
that right now?
Yeah, well, I see the
Mhm.
Arcturian to the right of you, and I was seeing the Lyran more like in you, like your face. Like I was seeing the
Yeah.
Lyran kind of like coming through your face, and the Pleiadian energy coming through you.
Yeah, it's in her hair.
So do you know what's interesting about the Pleiadians? I used to tell my nana she looks like a dolphin.
Hmm.
And I found out about the connection with Pleiadians and dolphins and the ocean and the color blue.
Mhm.
Um, and then when my nana passed away, she passed through my body. I didn't know she'd passed at the time when it happened, but this energy just went through my whole being and it was buzzing, just buzzing. And I remember saying to my daughter, because I was playing PlayStation with her, and I was like, look, I got to go lay down. I was laying down for about 2 hours going, who is this? I even messaged my friends who's an energy healer. I'm like, I feel like I'm being hugged by someone, but there's no one here. It feels incredible. Who's sending me energy? And they're like, not me. The next day I find out my nana passed in her sleep, same time that I felt the vibration. She's
Mhm.
considered in my life as a Pleiadian. And I was just talking to Jimmy about this. Wasn't I talking about this? My nana, the dolphins. Um,
Yep.
so I
No,
get
I
all
called
of
you the
these.
dolphin.
Yeah, yeah, and there's apparently there's a connection of Pleiadians and dolphins. I don't know the full story there,
I
but
told you sound like one.
yeah, because yeah, I sent him a message and I sounded stupid, but that's a whole other story. Yeah, so it's really cool that you just affirmed that for me because yeah, I'm really interested in it. I really want to get to know them. And then the woman that I seen was blue. So
Mm.
yeah, really, really cool that you mentioned that.
Yeah, and Sirius too. So the star Sirius, they apparently dolphins come from Sirius. Um,
Right.
yes, from the dolphins on Earth come from Sirius, and there's some aquatic planets, so they do have like mermaid people and amphibious people and stuff like that. Yeah,
Oh, I'll tell you this real quick. When I was a child, I astral projected all the time. And the one place I remember
wow,
going is underwater, the underwater planet,
interesting.
right? It was like
Wow,
everything was normal. I was walking to the fridge, I would sit down, I'm looking around, there's mermaids, fish, and I'm in my house, the same house
wow.
that I grew up in, but it was underwater and it felt so real. I would go there all the time. And yeah, it
Hmm.
was the weirdest thing. So yeah, I don't know. That's cool.
I love that. Yeah, definitely. And so I was just thinking, so you have Syrian as well, and that comes up a lot in like readings, Star Origins readings that I do for people. They have this combination, and it seems like a lot of us. Well, also I draw a lot of the people who have similar origins to me because we resonate. We have that similar
Right.
energy. Um, I think a lot of us, we're kind of like we're incarnating through these different stargates for
Mm.
experiences. So like Lyra, the Pleiades, Sirius. There's a star in Orion's belt called Mintakan. That was also a water planet. It's been destroyed though. But
Oh.
a lot of us, it was a very, very high vibrational place. I've incarnated there too. So a lot of people have been there too. But yeah, I see it a lot. Like whenever I do my readings, it's not just Pleiadian that comes up. It's like, it could be like three, four, five, six things at least. And then I'm sure there's many more that we don't even, know about.
What would you recommend to be able to connect with them? So since being on this podcast, I've been practicing mediumship. I do
Mhm.
psychic work. I can feel people's energy, but it's almost like I know that I know without knowing how the fuck I know. I just know things. And so I'll do this with people, Jimmy as well. We both do it together. And we're basically growing together at the same rate, the same time, sharing experiences. It's a lot of fun. But
Mhm.
I don't know who I'm talking to. And I spoke to Mary Rodwell just a couple days ago on the podcast, and she's like talking about, psychics or mediums who are connecting, but they don't know who they're connected to. She's like, I suggest you find out. And I'm like, it's funny you say that because
Mhm.
send help, right? So what would you what would you recommend to those who are connecting but don't know who to?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great question. So in the beginning, this may be different for people. My primary gift is visions, seeing.
Mm.
So what I had whenever I assigned colors to the different star races. So for me personally, I was like a light blue for Sirian, a medium, kind of more like darker, not dark, but medium blue for Pleiadian, and then purple for Arcturian. And then you can make up other things like gold or pink for Venusian or, whatever. You can do whatever you want. And I said, please show me that whenever, so that I know, who it is. And
Oh,
yeah, and then during meditation, I would start seeing this light blue light, and I'm like, okay, that's, those are the Syrians. Or
wow.
even with I have a color changing light in my room. The universe can just sync things up perfectly. And I remember getting a message and then opening my eyes, and right as I opened my eyes and looked at the lamp, it was purple, and I knew the Arcturians were talking to me through that. It was them who was answering me.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to be doing that now. I'm going to be visualizing colors. It's funny
Mhm.
because who was it that said at Tesla, if you want to understand the universe, you've got to think of terms of vibration, frequency, and something else. I cannot remember.
Sound.
That's probably the one. But I realize color's not in there. But anyway, where I'm going with this is that it's almost
Mhm.
like they communicate through frequency, sound, vibration,
Yeah.
color, the senses that it's almost like they don't speak to you in language, in voice. It's through the senses, what you
Mhm.
see, what you can hear, what you understand, what you feel. And so learning these abilities and your intuition or strengthening it, you'd have to, like, as you said, practice color, practice sound. What is the
Mhm.
sign? Can we create the sign ourselves and wait for an answer or a response?
Mhm.
So yeah, really interesting stuff. I love this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then as you go with that, and you can set up anything. Some people feel more too. Like I've had some people say whenever so and so's there or whatever guide, they feel something on the right side of their head, or, so it can
Yeah.
be different for, other people. You can get creative with it. But as you do that, after a while, then you get used to kind of the frequency and the feel of the energy.
Yeah.
So then you'll be able to know, okay, now I don't even need to see light blue to know that it's
Yeah.
green sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
That's
I did it, I
awesome.
just knew. I
Hmm.
knew without a doubt what was who was what and who I was
Mm.
talking to. It was
You got clear,
instantaneous.
yeah, you got clear cognizance.
Yeah, like I've
Show
talked to
off.
like I don't mean
I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying that's how I experienced. It wasn't like there was a question of anything. I knew I could trust
Hmm.
something by the way I felt about it as well.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't know the specific name of something, you
Hmm.
know how something makes you feel, whether or not you could trust it.
Mm.
If
Right.
you walk away feeling icky or something about it, you might not be wanting to trust that information.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
You
for
it.
sure.
I love how you said that your room where you're in now is such a high vibration that you believe that negative energy can't, it just can't compute. It doesn't compare because the frequency is so high. But in
Mhm.
saying that, have you ever experienced anything negative on your journey? And what was that like for
Yeah.
you?
For sure. And so this activation room, I believe is it's on lockdown. And I don't spend time in here unless I am working, doing activations or sessions, things like that. Um, I've had experiences in other parts of the house though, kind of
Mm.
negative experiences. It's been a while since I've experienced that. Um, but I have. Okay, let's see. Where do I even begin? So you asked if I've had any just negative experiences in general.
Yeah, and also like, for the viewers watching to understand what it would feel like, kind of like a heads up if you're feeling this,
Mhm.
like go cleanse
Mhm.
or things like that.
Yeah. So I learned my lesson after I do Star Origins readings slash Akashic readings for people. And I had just gotten done doing a reading and I was super exhausted. So I laid down for a nap and I woke up from this nap and I saw this woman, this very scary looking, like evil looking woman. And as I was waking up, I wasn't fully conscious yet. She was telling me to uh silence, like don't speak, don't stop, because like yeah, trying to silence me from helping people. And as I was waking up, I was like, I'm going to continue talking, I'm going to keep going. And but then I became like fully awake and I was like, holy crap, that was just an entity that it may have come from the person that I was doing the reading on. I left myself open to that,
Mm.
but this negative entity showed up and was literally trying to scare me and silence me from talking and helping people.
It's funny.
So I
The
learned,
first thing I just thought when you were talking about this old creepy lady saying shh, it's like, what are you gonna do? Just stand there and tell me to shut up? Like, get the fuck out of here. You just reminded me like how much power we actually have. So if that does kind of happen, just sort of laugh it off and be like, no, I believe I said I'm gonna be teaching this.
yeah.
So yeah, that's what I thought at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking back to her. I wasn't even like aware or like conscious yet. It just automatically, I was like, no, like I'm gonna keep talking. But then whenever I woke up, I kind of got freaked out for a second because I was like, what was that? Because I get
Yeah.
very vivid visions, and I
Right.
used to get a lot of very disturbing visions and psychic attacks whenever
Yeah.
I was really opening up. So, and I know that that was for me to learn how to create strong energetic boundaries, to have good spiritual hygiene, to also heal, because a lot of it was getting in through traumas and lower frequencies and stuff like that. And a lot of it would come in these very vivid visions that you can't escape because it's right in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Type
Kind of like
feeling.
intrusive thoughts, because I've had that myself. I've had some pretty nasty, disgusting things that I would never even think. And I spoke to my neighbor because she's spiritual, and I was like, yo, I need to talk to you. There's some really messed up thoughts going on, and it's not coming from me. And she's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
you too? And she's
Is
like,
that
I was
that
like, you tell
Greg?
me yours and I'll tell you mine. And she's like, man, I'll just walk past the staircase and I'll just want to push someone down the stairs. And I'm like, but it's not me. That's what she said.
Mhm.
And I was like, mine are kind of similar, but just nasty. And I'm like, you know what? We need to look into this. And I found out that intrusive thoughts is like a psychic attack, because it's in your face, it's right there. But the way that I felt when I had these sorts of thoughts, it would kind of feel uncomfortable. It would feel like, ugh.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, did you ever have any experiences like that? Because this happened to me sort of in the beginning of my journey, kind of to scare me away, because it's like, let's show her this really messed up sort of
Mhm.
thoughts so that I would not want to, move forward into the spiritual journey, because it's kind of
Mhm.
freaky, but it did stop. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big one actually. Yeah, the intrusive thoughts. So I would sometimes like get the visions and I would see these dark things, but yeah, intrusive thoughts was really big, especially in the beginning, and it was like I would get stuck in a loop trying to battle these intrusive thoughts, like counteract
Yeah.
them. So you're like
Mhm.
going back and forth and it does feel really uncomfortable. It's like it's excruciating,
I'm
honestly.
so glad that you've said that, because I
Yeah.
didn't want to talk about this. This is one of the things that I struggle to talk about, because I don't want people thinking I'm thinking weird shit like that. But like, it's not
Mhm.
me. And
Yeah.
it's like, if they can drop in positive thoughts, right? Then how
Mhm.
did
Well,
the
it's up to you.
same is
It's
true
up to
for.
you to filter those yourself. You got to tune into the song you want to hear, the
That's what I
frequency.
did. That's what I did.
Well,
I'm like, I'm separating what's going on here, what's going on here, and go, wait a minute, breathe. I
yeah.
would just breathe
I
in
t
deep.
I'll tell you what happened to me when I channeled this gray alien about 4 or 5 months ago. I get in like these trances, right? And I
Mhm.
look in the mirror and I can't remember why, but I got this attitude and I was about to go tell him to go F himself, right?
Mhm.
And right as I was about to say it, right as I was going to say, go F yourself, as soon as I was about to say it, my throat chakra got hit with this like jolt. Like it knew I was about to say it. It was like, watch your ass, man. Like that. It was,
Wow.
yeah, it was like a warning. Like,
That's wild.
but it was as soon as I was about to say it, I went about to go. "Ah," I went, oh man.
Yeah.
Like I didn't do it twice. Let's put it that way.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
I
just
mean,
think it's important to talk about this stuff. I feel like because there's a lot of people out there who are probably going through this, and I don't think that, many talk about it in the spiritual community. But yeah, there's
Right.
ways around it. Like, yeah, so what would you suggest for people going through that?
Yeah. So, and I actually write about it a lot in the book. I talk about all of the ups and downs and things that I was experiencing and like the training that I was receiving. Um, I had to like become a master of my mind. And I also had to do a lot of healing. But then there's also outside interference that can be put like in your energetic field on purpose, like even devices, etheric devices, or like nanotech, or the
mhm.
covert government sending frequencies that can make you think certain thoughts. Um,
Mm,
so I had to learn to kind of protect myself from all angles or just, and set strong energetic boundaries because you
mm.
don't if you're open spiritually, and I learned this lesson the hard way, you don't want just anything walking up and interacting with your field. So you just want to have strong energetic boundaries. And hygiene. Like after I did that session, I didn't do I didn't cleanse my aura. I didn't cleanse anything. I just went right to sleep, took a nap. So so
That's what
yeah, I
I
had to
do.
learn.
So I'm learning from you as we
Yes.
speak.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, now I make it a point to I won't always use like sacred smoke, although I do most of the time, but I at least make a point to, close, just kind of say, I'm closing their energy. I'm all of their stuff's going back to them, my stuff's coming back to me, and closing the Akashic records and just clearing my energy. And I like to put my hands and, just kind of clear it
yeah, because that's
after.
what the energy comes through. So you're essentially scanning yourself, right? And then,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's really
yeah,
cool. You,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
just reminded me of something when I was doing mediumship. So a man had passed, and his favorite food towards the end of his life was pasta. But the family that I was speaking to, they couldn't validate it, and I was like, "Yo, you need to go off this live, go call someone. I'm telling you, he's showing me pasta, pasta, pasta." And so she got off live. She went and spoke to a family member on the phone. She came back onto the live. She's like, "Oh my God, he had like 50 jars of pasta sauce in his cupboard before his passing when we cleaned out his house, blah, 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 blah." I shit you not, 3 days after that reading, I ate pasta every night,
Hmm.
right? Because I wanted it so badly. And so
Interesting.
I think that's a good example of maybe I should be doing the clearings, because it's been a couple times
Hmm.
I've done that. I'm like, why am I
Hmm.
craving this food? It's weird. Um, so
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do these cleansings, I think.
Yes. So you just talked about these devices and stuff that they take off of you. Like what you do that in type of a hypnosis? Because I've had that as well, where just a few months ago I had a Faraday cage attached around both of my feet that
Mm.
I could actually feel. Actually, it was Archangel Raphael came in and had to take them off, and I could
Mm.
feel the wires coming out of my ankles. Like
Mm.
it was preventing me from grounding myself to the earth,
Oh, wow.
right?
Wow.
Like it was preventing that frequency from going back and forth. But when they pulled it out, I could feel it coming out. It was almost like a crab
Mm.
trap coming off of my ankles. Like it was.
Oh,
You
Yeah.
ever you get involved in that type of stuff as well?
Yeah,
Like
I
pulling
have
AI
had,
and stuff out of people?
yeah, 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 yep, yep, yep. And I really like working with the Arcturians. I do that, and I have some live activations on my YouTube channel where we literally go in and the Arcturians pull out these devices and stuff. And even while I was channeling it, I felt something being pulled out of my arm. Um, so
hold on a
yeah,
minute.
I
From
mhm.
your bones, like sort of here, would you say,
um
through your
Yeah.
arm?
it was kind of around like in this area, like it kind of like jolted, and I felt something coming out.
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah.
dream. I was on a
It's
spacecraft with
exactly what I
nothing.
felt.
These were
Mm,
like fucked up looking entities. I couldn't even explain to you what they look like. This was a nightmare to what I thought was a nightmare, but they were
mm,
pulling my bone out of my arm. I think it was a mantis or something. I don't know what it was. And I remember in the dream, I was like, Oh, that's cool. Thanks, man. Like I was thanking them. So one half of
Mm,
me, it was scary. Another half of me, it was thank you. And what you just
mhm,
said with the, it's almost like, oh, that maybe they were removing something from me,
mm,
like an implant or something in my dream state. Um,
mm.
Mhm.
and recently I just learned, I think about 75% of abductions are occurring in the dream state.
Yeah.
Have you been
Yeah.
abducted as well? Have you experienced an abduction?
So I don't remember an abduction experience. I know that I go up on the ship a lot. Um, and now I'm seeing well, SSP stuff also.
All
I
right.
had yeah, and I didn't remember any of that. They mind wipe you pretty good. I
Yeah.
didn't remember any of that, but then I had a dream where I was on a ship with like a group of other people. Some of them I knew or like, kind of like local people or whatever, and I saw a few different types of gray aliens, and then I hear, okay, we're going to the moon. We were on our way to the moon, which is known for having, a base there, and yeah, so I do know that I have been. I don't remember any of it really. Um, but
Mm.
sometimes as I'm waking, I'll see beings. Like I just saw an Arcturian the other night, or like Talia, my blue family, or they'll let me know, you were just up on the ship. So they let me know. I just don't remember it yet. Hopefully one day though. I'm like, let me go up there and be aware of it, please.
Well, one that puts you in danger of some kind as well from knowing,
Uh, I don't
possibly.
know, and it depends on, what we are doing too, because some things are, I'm not supposed to know or I can't know for safety
Yeah,
reason.
it could alter your future in some way, and
It could be that too, yeah.
yeah.
Everything that's happening is happening for a reason.
Hmm.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, where do we go from here? I just think we've
Mhm.
unpacked so much information. I mean, you're just a wealth of knowledge. It's absolutely incredible having you here today. Um,
Thank you.
I guess maybe we'll end the podcast here so I don't take up too much of your time. But what is something positive you can share with the viewers watching this today before we end?
Yeah, definitely. So everybody has star families. At least everybody who's watching this has, star families. And learning how to connect with them and asking them for assistance, like they can help you do so much. Just like the archangel helped you take those cages off of your feet, like my star family and the Arcturians have helped me, take out these devices and help me take out these devices from other people and do other healings, healing childhood trauma, past lifetime trauma, accessing your Akashic records, activating psychic abilities, activating your DNA. They can assist with so much. So it's been a big game changer and a very profound, transformative experience. And I like to share that with others and let people know that they have star families too that are always with them. Even if you can't perceive them, you can ask them for a sign. Uh, and set the intention to connect with them. You could say, I set the intention to connect with my cosmic family of the highest love and light. Be specific who you want to connect with and ask them for a sign and kind of see what happens. Um, but yeah, we're supposed to connect with they are our family. You'll feel
Hmm.
that love. Um, and it's about remembering who we are too, our origins, where we come from. Because this is just an avatar.
That was beautiful.
But yeah, yeah. And I do have a lot of meditations and activations on my YouTube channel with the different ET races and things like that. So if there's anybody who doesn't know who their star family is, or they want to connect with a specific race, that can definitely help you do that. It's
You
in
have
the lives
specific guided
tab.
meditations for each one, each
Yep,
race.
yep.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
Oh, that's
amazing.
awesome.
And so, for the viewers here watching today, who may want to have an activation themselves, who are exploring their spiritual journey, how do they find you?
Mm-hmm. You can find me on my YouTube channel, which is Lily Nova Starseed, and my website is lilynova uh, spaceart.com. I forgot for a second. Lilynovaspaceart.com. And those are kind of like my two main places, and you can find me through there and contact me through there, or check out my content and all of that. I also have workshops and sessions and then the book too.
It's
Oh,
been an honor
awesome.
meeting you, Lily. I've seen you on video for a few years now, but it's been great actually
Really?
getting to talk to you.
Oh wow, that's awesome. It's so great meeting you guys. And you've been interviewing some really fantastic people. How
Oh
long have you guys
yeah.
been doing this podcast for?
About a year and a
Natalie and I
half,
for a little over a year. Yeah, like it's probably yeah, yeah, it's been over a year, and but Natalie had it for a while before that.
Yeah, it
Tell her,
used to
Natalie.
be just me. I used to just interview near-death experiences, as I said earlier, just trying to find
Hmm.
my place in the world, trying to find out where
Yeah.
we go when we die and whatnot. Met Jimmy
Yeah.
probably halfway through my first year. So it's been about 2 years all up, and I've been with Jimmy probably a year and a half of that. So
Wow.
yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's been very informative. I've opened up a
Mhm.
lot. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Learning a lot through all these guests. It's great
Oh,
still
doing
learning,
it's
very
infinite.
hungry.
yeah.
It only ends where your imagination ends. Like, you know what I mean? As long as you keep it
Right.
in your heart and mind, it just the universe draws it, or just you draw it to you from the universe. Just
Mm-hmm.
they want
Yeah.
you to live your dream, or your nightmare, depending on what you think about.
There you go. That is for another podcast. But yeah,
Yeah.
thanks
Yeah.
again for joining us. Appreciate
Yeah.
you. It's been an absolute honor to have you on the show.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
All right.
Bye,
Take care.
guys.